So there's a bunch of hubbub. Was it hubbub?
Hubbub.
Discussion on forums and different podcasts about the market saturation of board games, and is there a bubble, and is the bubble going to burst? Maybe in a quick sentence, what do you think? Let's go around the table. We'll start with Eric.
Is it going to burst?
Just initial thoughts. Response.
Initial thoughts. What I think is, yeah, maybe in a sense, there might be publishers producing less games, or maybe some of the smaller publishers, can't make it because
I guess
they
I'll
don't
for
sell.
Yes or no. No,
they don't sell, X amount of games per game. So I kind of see that maybe coming down the line.
What do you think, Matt?
We'll see how this Terra 4 goes.
The what?
Terra 4.
Terra 4?
It's a joke. Never mind. Bad one.
I'm not in the know.
No.
Trump, China. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
Tariff war.
Tariff war.
I thought it was a one-word thing.
I thought you said Terra 4.
No,
I'm
Terra
like,
4.
is this like
Sorry.
Is this like a Stranger Things joke?
No. I think it will.
You think it'll burst? All right, George. We'll discuss all this, but just the quick thought.
Oh, we just want a yes or no. I get
no. Like just like one sentence.
Yes
Because
and no. Yes and no, because for me personally, it has burst, and I'm cutting way back. Gen Con just finished, and I got 5 games. But
I also think that's kind of the life of a heavy collector of games.
Everyone missed the point of this. Like,
for
well, anyway,
for somebody that
you want to play? Tim, you want to play?
I'll play. Here we go. My
didn't say
quick.
Go.
Yeah, what's your no?
I also say no because it's not really a bubble. Like it can't burst like a housing bubble can burst. Like
I agree.
It'll just slow down. It'll just be a thing.
I think no, it's not going to burst. Companies are going to stop. They're going to go out of business making crappy games.
Which companies?
Well, I would say just because there's
now
so
we
many
can
games,
actually talk. Sorry,
okay.
That was a bust.
Okay.
So you think eventually the amount of companies will die out because they're just killing
make a
themselves?
mediocre game? I think so.
Let's do this. Let's set some stats in motion, and then we'll discuss. Right? Because stats.
I got stats.
I got some stats too.
I got some stats.
So check this out. The average Steam game on Steam sells 32,000 copies. The average game on Steam sells 32,000 copies.
And what is
That's a
the
lot.
average
The
cost?
price.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's the average game.
If it's
$0.99,
$1.
right?
The average game, like across the board, it's
Okay.
an average. So it sells 32,000 copies.
Okay.
I'll get to the point here.
Sure.
Okay.
The average board game sells 2,000 to 5,000 copies.
Yeah.
Right.
The Steam has 90 million monthly users. About 47 million people a day are on Steam, and it has over 1 billion accounts,
Yes. It is.
which dwarfs the player base in board games.
I agree.
Yeah.
BGG
and it will
has
stay that way.
BGG, Board Game Geek, has 1.2 million active or 1.2 million
Active
accounts. Not active, just accounts.
Just accounts. Okay.
Oh.
Although you don't need a Board Game Geek account to buy a game.
Or be a board gamer.
Right.
Right.
Or to be a board. So there's obviously people, but then again, there's consolers who aren't on Steam either. So games released on Steam each year. Check this out. 2015, there was about 3,000. 2016, there was about 4,000. 2017, there was 7,000. And 2018, there was 9,000. Released
games.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
About 5,000 board games were released last year.
But that number has gone up as well.
Well, it's going to continue to go up. So, and it's way easier to design and publish board games than it is video games. So my point being with all these stats
Voluntarily, yes.
was this. There's 5,000 games that were released board game wise, or at least there was 5,000 entries put in on Board Game Geek is really what the stat is. But there was thousands of games released last year for potentially, let's just say 1.2 million people. Whereas there was 9,000 games for 1 billion accounts. You know what I'm saying? Like the ratios. There's far less video games being released per capita of players than there are board games per capita. Does that make sense?
I will say this also. Like you say, there's 5,000 board games that got released last year. Well, I only heard about, I don't know, 50 of them or 100 of them or whatever.
But you didn't hear about all 9,000 of the video games either.
Right.
That's all on you.
Well, no, it's not on me. No one's gonna be like, okay, I know all 5,000 games that came out last year.
No, but you've heard of way more than 100.
Oh, I probably did more than 100, but I'm just saying, it might be a couple hundred. There's like, I'll never see or hear about the vast majority of those 5,000 games that came out this year.
No, I get it, which kind of proves what I was getting ready to say in the fact that there are far too many board games coming out than there are video games coming out. Even though there's more video games, what I mean is per capita. Mm-hmm. So in ratio to the amount of people that would consume them, board games are coming out. It's almost like everybody and their mom is designing a board game and releasing it.
Well, it's easier.
It's easier, right?
Self-publish.
And so that's what I was saying earlier when I think the board game market won't stop. I really think that board gamers are always going to keep going up. There's going to be more and more board gamers every year. I think there's going to be less and less crappier games. Because
no, there's going to be the same amount, but are they going to actually sell?
You think there will be fewer crappy games? I mean,
no, because at some point there's going to be too many people. There's going to be a lot more people buying board games, and they're going to buy quality over crap. It's going to have to look good. It's going to have to good components.
Yes.
And so the only way you can sell a crappy board game is Kickstarter at that point.
But that's how they do it. A lot of people are doing Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's why they can make these games, and people just buy it before they even know what it is.
Right.
I mean,
but I wouldn't consider Kickstarter games.
Okay, games are still going to sell.
Like, well, let's ask this: would you consider a Kickstarter game as part of the market saturation?
Oh yes.
Yes.
You would consider that in the market saturation?
Oh my goodness! Look at how many Kickstarter games are out right now. Mm-hmm. Someone posted yesterday they signed up for 3 Kickstarter games like today or yesterday that came out that day.
For example, and I just to use myself as an example, I kickstarted Isle of Cats. Mm-hmm. Right, and so many of these Kickstarter games, they're $80 now, $70-$80. So
they're getting more expensive.
So Gen Con, Gen Con comes around, and there's all these games actually at Gen Con, but I only buy 5 of them because I know I've got money set aside for Isle of Cats, etc. Mm-hmm. There's other Kickstarters too. Mm-hmm. So yes, that makes an impact.
I mean, that's fair, but do you think that there's a market saturation in video games as well? Then.
I don't know.
Because would that be fair? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're one person. It doesn't matter how many people are there to buy it. 5,000 board games, 9,000 video games. But it's like, why do we feel like board games are saturating the market, whereas video games aren't?
I don't know. I don't understand how video games aren't saturating the market. I just bought a new computer, and there's something that I go to, some site. I don't know what it's called. I can get free games. Like every week there's a free game I can download. So why am I buying?
Like if you go to humblebundle.com.
Right.
20 games for $3.
That's exactly right. Humble Bundle is making it
like how many games do you have on Steam?
Reasonable.
Hundreds.
I mean, that's true, but I don't play them. I guess that's not a very good
right, exactly.
I have 1,000 board games and I don't play half of them. Mm-hmm. It's just weird that it's odd that people, I don't know. Matt, what do you think? You haven't said much.
Yes.
And no.
No. I don't know. I think the games will have to either start getting better. I think we're just hitting I feel like it's peaking right now with just everything going on. I know because like Gen Con this year, I wasn't excited for hardly anything. And there's only so much you can do with board games.
But were you not excited because you don't feel like there was good games coming out? Or do you feel like I have enough stuff to do already? And so I kind of just pushed aside everything.
No. I mean, if there's games I want to get, I'll get them. But maybe it's kind of like there's nothing that excites me because I mean, there's only so much you can do.
I guess we do need to factor in the thing about if Matt buys a game, we can all play it. Mm-hmm. And if I buy a video game, you're all not playing it unless you buy that video game.
Yeah, have to
typically
go in on the same game
because they've murdered Couch Co-op.
I was gonna say
because Couch Co-op is gone.
Yeah,
I mean it's there, but it's not.
Right, and that's true. But I don't know when you're talking about board games as well. Like, I mean, I think it's great playing games with Matt, but if he buys a game and I play it and I really like it, Matt's not coming over to my house to play with my parents. Mm-hmm. You know, typically, not that you're not invited. Mm-hmm. You know, you're welcome.
Invited.
You're welcome anytime. But the thing is, you know, I have different groups that I play games with. So if it's a game I really like and I want to play it with my parents, I'll probably get that game.
Sure.
Yeah, which kind of brings me back to what I was saying, because video games sell way more copies because everyone's pretty much required to own it, whereas board games don't sell as many copies because essentially if it's a 5-player game and you sell 1,000 copies, 5,000 people potentially can play it at minimum. I mean, not really at minimum,
the
but
same
you
time.
see what I'm saying? Like, obviously, like you could play 2 players, whatever. I'm just saying, quick math.
Yes.
You know, you can play it with a lot of people, and then you can take it over to somebody else, play it with 4 other people, or 4 other people over here, where you can't do that with a video game.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is, since less and less board games are sold, even though I will say that the cost to make a board game is very low in comparison to a video game, which is pretty much unattainable.
Is it? Because the price is going up lately.
I mean, you could publish a board game and sell it and only need $3,000 to $10,000, depending on what kind of components you need. You could publish a card game that has a couple decks of cards for like $8 a copy and sell it for $20, $25. So I mean, it's not unattainable to the average person.
Okay.
What I'm saying, but like, you're not going to go out and make a video game.
Right. You're not gonna make Halo 6.
Because you need the budget, you need the team, you need the experience, you need all that. You need the time. Whereas I could think of The Mind, make it in like 3 seconds, publish it, bam, I make a lot of money. But like, that was not a
Spiel jar.
spill jar fun. Oh my god, it's awesome. But my point is,
repeat.
I'm not making fun of The Mind. I'm just saying that conceptually, it didn't take a lot of time to make. It just took the good idea. Oh, this would be a cool idea. 100 cards, bam. That's all you need. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
or whatever the other game is that won
Medium.
the spiel that you made fun of because you can just make the components yourself.
Didn't win.
Oh, Medium.
I mean, it might be up there next year. Who knows? It's very hot right now. The other game is Just One, by the way.
Just one. Yeah. So like, you don't even really need the game. So the idea is, the thing is with board games, you just need an idea and a small amount of cash in comparison to, you know, doing public, like, and making
video
any
game.
product. Right.
Right. Okay.
And you're out there, bam.
Right. Now, are those facts causing enough stress on the market itself? Is it causing Asmodee to care? Is Asmodee, going to fold?
No, but what I'm saying is, when I was saying that the market won't crash, just certain companies will.
Right.
Board gaming is going to keep rising. I don't see
I agree.
a bubble bursting at all. I just see crappy companies making games that are going away because they're not making money doing it. The only thing that keeps a lot of them going on is that a lot of people at these board game companies, that's not their main job. They don't care if they make money from it. They're doing it for a passion. So they make their money by their day job, and then they publish games as their side job.
Okay.
And so they don't care if this stuff works out. But what
They care.
but I'm saying, like, if they made a lot more money, great, and they would like to do it as a full-time job, but the ones who don't care will stop doing it, and those companies will go away. So I don't think the consumers or the amount of games is really going to be a problem. I just think that it's only going to hurt small publishers who are trying to get bigger, and they can't because the market saturation just
it's going to make
destroys them.
hurt small publishers that don't produce good games. So I think the bar is going to be lifted.
Yes.
And in further years, you have to. An okay game is not going to make it. You have to make a really good game, or production values have to go up. Different things like that.
Right, but it's not going to burst a bubble.
Right.
Like, it's not like at some point, which is
no
what
one's going to buy any game.
Which I guess this isn't really a conversation about bursting a bubble. It's more of about market saturation. Is there too many games? Maybe we should be more on topic. But as far as a bubble, I don't see a bubble. I just see
I don't see a bubble.
Publishers who aren't making money stop making games.
Okay.
I see that.
And that might be the bubble that maybe it can be referenced. The number of games will eventually go down.
Yeah.
We can't sustain 5,000 new games every year.
Right. So let's turn the conversation back around to market saturation. Are there too many games?
Yes.
I agree.
There's just far too many to keep up with. Like Eric was saying, there's 5,000. You only see 1,000, maybe.
That's still a lot of games. I don't even know if well, first off, I've never played 1,000 video games. Maybe so, but I don't keep track of it, so I don't know.
Well,
That's a lot. I don't even have 1,000 games on that shelf.
I was gonna say, I bet you've never played 1,000 video games.
That's insane.
That's a
well,
lot.
part of the problem is you put 22 hours in on one game. So
Right.
That's fair too. Whereas a board game, you can play it in 30 minutes and bam.
Put it on a shelf, never see it again.
Yeah.
because you don't have time to get back to it. Yeah.
Right.
Right, because there's 5,000 games each
To get
year
to.
that you got to get to. Right.
And board games, I was going to say they hold their value longer than video games. In a short period of time, you feel like a video game. This is old tech.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think most board games will hold their value more than video games.
I actually see
Some video
the
games will-
opposite on a lot of games. I'll get some games so cheap now. Aftermarket.
Oh, I didn't mean monetary value. I meant
Oh, like
Value
play
to
value.
you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So yeah, you can.
What?
I don't know about that.
I guess the difference will be this, though. There's a lot of Nintendo games that I am very nostalgic of, but I'm probably not going to go back and play them. Whereas, because I'm like, nah, it was a good game. Like, for instance, Parasite Eve. I'm just throwing one out there. Really good game. Fantastic. It's a PlayStation 1 game. I don't really feel like playing a lot of PlayStation 1 games because the graphics were in the age of crap.
Yeah, they were good 20 years ago.
They were good 20 years ago, whereas Nintendo
But they're not
games...
going to be good to today's standards.
Right, but I could go back and play a Nintendo game just fine. Pixelated graphics, I feel like because they're still in trend today, there's a lot of pixelated games on purpose because they like that nostalgia. It's okay, but a PlayStation 1 game is almost too bad of graphics. Like, it was good at a time, but it's not good now. It's not a stylized art form. It's just a very poorly, ran game at that point.
And then if you look at a board game and you say, well, if I go back and I play Can't Stop, are you going to be bored to tears?
No,
Is
it's
that-
awesome.
Right. And that was like, there's some games
fantastic
made
game.
in the 70s.
It's probably the most obnoxiously big game for what it is, where it could literally fit in the palm of your hand and be the same game.
That's true.
It's like I wanted to make a wooden stop sign about 8 inches and then have pegs.
Right, you can do it, yeah.
And then it would fit in a small box instead of this box that's like 200 feet long.
You can make it roll and right, make it even smaller than that.
Oh, money.
I guess there's Can't Stop Express, which I think does that.
Okay.
But
But you could pick any old board game and say, does it still hold its interest for you, or does it feel dated? I guess that would depend on the game.
Right.
yeah, no, I get it. Because, you can play Catan, even though there's a lot of games now and people think Catan is kind of just gateway-ish, man, it's off to the side.
I'll play it again.
There's not a lot of games that do what Catan does. And so when I pick it up, I don't feel like, like Dominion. Let's say Dominion. I feel Dominion is obsolete at this point, to me. There's so many more deck builders that I will just overwrite it. It's gone. If I play it again, cool. I'm not going to try to play it again. If there's people who have never played deck builders and they come over to my house, don't play board games, I might bust it out in that specific scenario. Otherwise, no. Catan, I feel like I can't think of a game that would replace it, except for other Catan games. But like, it does such a unique thing that I feel like, maybe I've played enough now that I can move on and just play other things, but I would not be opposed to playing it again, whereas I'm not going to bust out Parasite Eve again to try to beat it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, I agree with you. I think that means there's less of a chance of there being a burst bubble in terms of board games.
Yeah.
And board games hold their value to you, so that, when a bubble bursts, it's because people are speculating on the value of things, and then after a while, everyone's got those things, so the value doesn't stay.
Actually, I wonder if board games will begin to become more expensive, because they might go on clearance right now because nobody wants to buy them. Or usually a game goes on clearance because there's 5,000 games released. There's not enough people buying them,
Right.
and it goes overlooked. Even though it's a gem and it's kind of like a great game, it just goes under the radar, dies off.
There's a lot of those. Right.
But then people 5 and 10 years later, like,
Notice is like, oh,
this
I
game's
never picked this up.
awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
that happens all the time.
And then it's like $200 on eBay
Right.
because no one bought it in the first place. They went on clearance. No one bought the clearance. Like, the politics of cannibals. Just kidding.
Is that a good one?
I don't know. It seems kind of funny, but a lot of people give it crap reviews. It's just a game that's always on Miniature Market for like $1. It's like a $30 game. I'm like, should I buy that? I'm never gonna play it. I'm out.
No, probably no.
Yeah. If it had a little bit better artwork, it probably win me over for $4 or whatever it is. But the point is, maybe it's a great game and no one's really played it. And then eventually someone's gonna be like, this is awesome. But unlike video games, that could probably be reprinted. Whereas like video games, since the graphical power is a problem, they're not going to reprint a PS1 game unless they remastered it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
And board games have this sort of gatekeeper in Board Game Geek where everyone's rating everything. So the gems don't really get lost. People know if it's a good game or not, typically.
typically,
Well, they'll know if it's a good game, but maybe it gets overlooked.
it's a good game among that cult following, and then no one buys it. And yeah. I don't know. I guess we probably drug this one out to the end.
And we're not economists, so
We're not. Yeah.
what do we know?
We're just
But-
speculating based off our immense love of the hobby.
and the way that it feels like it's oversaturated and too many low quality games are coming out and Kickstarters are coming out that aren't properly vetted or tested.
I think we can all agree maybe that market saturation is not going to kill the players, right? I mean, there's always going to be people playing games.
No, right.
And I think that's
No,
going to
I
constantly
think the
rise.
player base is
That's
going to
a good
continue
question.
to grow.
That is a good question. Will it? Because
I think so.
that's what the hobby is living on right now. It keeps growing and growing. But
Right.
what if a killer technology comes out and suddenly people are all into that and they don't care about board games anymore?
Which I don't think will happen because that's the whole thing.
Then it
know,
just becomes
if
video
you want
games.
technology, you go to video games. You go to board games to have that more interaction face to face. So
Yeah. And honestly, I think that if the technology was going to kill them, Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator would have done that.
Well, maybe Tebaru.
Man,
that's still
okay.
that's still getting together face to face to do it though. So
That is true, yeah. But, I mean, Tebaru is going to do better if they expand past just Coolmon games.
come on.
That's how I'm going
games.
to refer to them now.
No.
So, anyway, anything else? We done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, final last just sentence based off our conversations. Did you change? What do you think?
Same.
Same. Everybody same? Okay.
Nothing changed.
Well, that was boring.
Saturation.
Let's
Too
move
much
on.
saturation.
Let's move. I agree. Let's move on to the last topic.